Hey dudes, had some time after work this day. Had the choice between one round on the long course or two on this kind of short, hilly par 3 course. So I took the two on the short one just to work on some stuff. Hole one is a buck 80 downhill with some junk behind the basket there to catch it. So I usually don't worry about going too long there if I go straight. And luckily I actually made a putt. You'll notice these baskets are kind of ridiculous. They're homemade and they don't catch that great. I'll just kind of let you watch what happens here. And down the hill behind the basket there is all death.
2 in 2 days off the top of the fucking cage.
Yeah, you hear me say that it's the second time in 2 days I hit the top of the basket. All I had left from down in the bushes was to chunk up the hill for my par here. Hole 3, another one up over a big steep hill. It's 165, but it obviously plays longer. You can see it started raining on me a bit here. The basket's just to the left middle there, poking over the hill. And I went straight over it and into the bushes beyond. I had an okay look. I didn't take enough time here. I kind of rushed it just a little bit, and I just barely tinked the cage. So another par there. Next hole is a hyzer shot downhill. The basket you can see down in the trees there. Beyond the basket is like a swamp, so you really don't want to be there. And I was going straight for it with my link, and you can see me asking it to sit down there, and I was glad it did. It left me with circle's edge putt that I luckily got to stick. You can see it popped right through those old chains. 5 is over the water, uphill. It's like 240. I usually throw a mid. I decided to throw an FD hard and low into the trees, and instead I went past the basket to another one of those steep death hills full of ferns, and all I had down here was an A3 thumber to get up by the basket. I had to have those dudes help me find my disc, and didn't leave myself much of a putt here. Again, with death behind it, I ran it anyway. You can barely see because of my ass, but I went wide right, but it luckily hit the stump and stopped, so I stopped the bleeding there. That still hurt. This hole here is downhill, and the basket's in some trees again. To the left is water, and last time I played here, I threw my MD4 straight into the water. So here I throw another MD4, and it was going straight for it again. Luckily, it stopped in this tree, and I had a little Annie look through the branches to get up by the green, which then rolled down the hill off the camera. So I have an elevator putt here over this stump. It's as tall as the basket. I can barely see it, and I just didn't quite get it up, but you can tell I realized my mistake and immediately was able to adjust and make the second one that doesn't count. So there's a couple bogeys in a row. This hole's back uphill. I lost a couple discs on this last round, and I did the same thing again, but you can't really see it, but it pushes forward to almost the end of the junk there, and I have a little, you can see the basket kind of to the left of me. It's a steep little hill by the basket, so I just kind of chunked out and hoped it stayed, and luckily it did. These baskets are like old car wheels. They make a crazy sound. You hear it in your nightmares. 8's uphill, 130. It's got a big little, or a little bit of a bowl there, so I just kind of chuck it towards the basket. If you miss that tree on the right, you're going to get a par at worst, and you'll have a bogey look, or a birdie look in the circle. 9, 130, kind of a left-to-right turn. I missed the going left of the tree and went right with my A3 and ended up long and in the bushes, but I got down there to find that I had a look, and somehow made it. So that's a good birdie for me. 10 is 145. You can't see the basket. It's kind of like straight through that fern in front of me. So it's a hard, low hyzer shot. The basket's got a steep hill and a bowl, so you can kind of rip it into that and it'll stay there. I rolled down to about, I don't know, 35, 38 feet and got it to hold on there just barely. 125 on hole 11 here. It is a steep drop off right behind it, so the hard part here is not going long, and I think that branch there probably saved me. I was going straight down the hill, and I still had a kind of a tough uphill putt that I got to stick. 12's the same thing, except it's super short and it's straight steep down this hill, man. It's hard to tell from the camera angle, but it drops so much. So I just try a little spike forehand usually that drops it at the base. I got into the bushes, and that left me with like a 40-footer that I airballed. And then tried again, missed again. But par is fine as long as I don't have any more bleeding holes. 13 is a hyzer shot, 150, a little bit downhill. I was going to throw my link, and you see me walk back here, and decided I would go a little farther right and let it fade into the basket to try for the ace run with the Sky God. At this point, the bugs were out of control. You can kind of see me swatting at them. They got in my eyes all day. I had my Sky God a little too high, and he hit that tree way to the right of the basket. The basket's behind that tree to the left, so I decided to see what I could do with the link, and not a better result. They were right next to each other. So it left me with another 25, 30-footer for birdie, and I just donked it. But you always make the second one, right? 150 uphill for 14. The gap is smaller than it looks because the trees lean and stuff. The basket's up on the hill, kind of straight through the gap there. You can just barely see it on the left, and I just parked it enough that I could pizza toss. The next one's the opposite. It's short and downhill, and the basket sits right on the edge of another cliff. So kind of like some of the other holes, you got to get it to stay up top. So I gave it some space, got branches, and dropped myself with a little 12-foot tap in, and I put it right on the pole, and that happened. Don't know what else to do with that. That was dead center pole and just popped right back out. What can you do? Stole a stroke from me. 16 is in a big grove of trees, so you can see it straight ahead. A lot of low-hanging branches and stuff. I decided to try and just go low and hard with my link, and I went high and soft and just kind of flubbed to, I don't know, 50 foot. I'm just heaving it at the basket here, and I actually gave it a decent bid. It didn't really have a chance of going in, but saved my par. 17 is back. It looks like it's not, or it says it's not uphill, but it's a little bit more uphill. It's on a little slope there, and the disc will roll away, and it just goes down, down, down for a while. I've seen discs get way away, so in my effort to avoid that, I ended up way right with this kind of scary look up on the hill downhill. I had to hit metal, and luckily at least I did that, and it stopped there so I could make the par. And then 18 backed way downhill, and it drops off to the right. Again, stuff will roll a mile. I threw a little anti-flex with the link. It didn't flex out as much as I wanted, and it left me with this probably, I don't know, at least 35-footer back uphill. And I wanted to leave this whole thing in there. I just stepped in, and you can see all the little adjustments I'm having to make. I'm waving bugs off. I'm got sweat in my eyes, and I'm just trying to regain my focus. And I keep it, and then I drilled it. I just kept telling myself that was how I had to handle a tournament putt. It was going to be distracting or whatever, and luckily drilled it. So I went 6 down with a couple unfortunate breaks and then 2 bogeys that I absolutely deserved. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I'll have the second round up soon.